Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge, and that little ponder at the start was really where to start. Breaking news, Ahmad is out till next season. Where this has come from, well, it's coming from Chris Wheeler in the Daily Mail, it's coming from Fabrizio Romano, it's been confirmed, there's no speculation, there's no scans to be done. He is out for the rest of this horrific season. Our player of the season is out for the season. As we know from the video earlier, Mainu is also out for a few weeks. Collier and Agate are injured. I mean, the question has to be, what training were we doing? I know the WWE have got Elimination Chamber coming up in a few weeks with Cena, CM Punk and bloody Jake Paul, or Logan Paul. What have we been doing? Why are we all having a scrap in training? What's been going on? I mean, 4 players in a week injured, one of them out for the season, one of them out for weeks. What do we do? What do we do? Get bloody Vinnie Jones back to do a bit of tackling practice? It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And I tell you what, it just goes to show how badly this football club is run, because you've got Anthony scoring goals for Betis, you've got Rashford playing for Villa, which is absolutely fine, and it's the right thing to do, but we tried to sell Garnacho. Ahmad's out for the season. This is what everybody was talking about, and these are the people you're putting your faith in. Oh, Ineos know what they're doing. You've got to give them 3 or 4 years. The damage they're doing to this football club every bloody day, you can see in 4K. You can't let Rashford and Anthony go and not replace them. Oh, no money, no money. Absolute prat. So basically, we let Rashford and Anthony go so we could save £500,000 a week in wages. Yeah, that's basically what we did, because it's the same reason you're sacking a load of people. It's the same reason that you're not paying towards charities and you're hiking ticket prices. You saw an opportunity to get rid of 2 players and pocket a load of bloody wages, and you never saw this coming, that we were going to be screwed if we didn't get lucky. And we've got very, very unlucky, but it's also not surprising, is it? Me saying this to you, that Ahmad's out for the season and Mainu's out for a few weeks, it actually isn't that surprising when you know the recent history of this football club. I mean, why wasn't there somebody in the boardroom in January going, hey, you know what, I just got a question. It's a great idea to get rid of Rashford and Anthony and save the wages, but we've got really shit fitness department and we get loads of injuries and we've already got a few players injured. We get 1 or 2 injuries and we're screwed, and we desperately need to win the Europa League because it's going to be worth about 80 million quid for us. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. And we've absolutely screwed this up. So, yeah, Ahmad's out. What Fabrizio has said, and I know Chris Wheeler broke it, so I want to shout that out. What he is saying is that Ahmad is set to miss the rest of the season with an ankle injury. Man United star suffered the injury this week. As per Chris Wheeler, he's expected to be unavailable for the next 3 months. Now, I'm actually going to go through this live. I mean, we're going to go through this together in a minute or two and try and construct not even a predicted 11 for the Spurs game, a predicted 11 for the next few weeks, the next few months, and figure out if it's possible for us to actually do anything this season. Because I just think everywhere you look, we're absolutely screwed. And it really does explain how Amorim looked. I had people taking the piss out of me last night. They were like, oh, Goldbridge saying you can read someone from their eyes. Mate, I used to interview people, high-level crime interview people. You can definitely read emotions from people's eyes. People can say one thing and they want to tell you something else. Everybody saw that yesterday. Amorim yesterday, you could see behind the eyes that he was absolutely devastated about something. Now, it's probably because the club's being run badly as well, but he knew Ahmad was probably out for the season. He knew Mainu was out for weeks, and you could really, really see that. The bottom line is, in 10 days, Man United have lost 4 players. Martinez is out for a year. Well, he's certainly out for the season. Ahmad's out for the season. Mainu's out for weeks. And 5, Collier and Agate. So there might be somebody else as well. I don't know. I mean, that's just incredible. In the space of a week, you've lost Martinez, Ahmad for the season, Mainu for God knows how long. I mean, that's 3 of you. That's 3 of your starting players. So we're in a right mess. And also, we're shit anyway. We are absolutely shit anyway. So the ramifications of this are confidence is rock bottom. The club's being run into the ground. The manager is hung out to dry. The fan base is frustrated. And I think that you've got to look, I mean, lots of comments are coming in. You've got to look at it and say, where do you apportion the blame? I think that Amorim needs to make them train hard. But if they can't deal with training hard, they're the wrong players anyway. I mean, why are we getting so many injuries? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me why we've picked up 4 injuries in 1 week of training. What is going wrong at Manchester United? And naive people would say it's the manager's coaching, but it was Ten Hag's coaching. It's not the manager's coaching. This is sports science. Anybody with a brain knows this is sports science. Something's going wrong fundamentally. I guarantee most of these injuries are going to be, something to do with muscles and this could be a multitude of things. Like, what machines are we using? What diet requirements are we using? Are we monitoring everything properly? Because it looks to me like, I've said this before, on an international break, you'll get a player loading stuff up because they're doing extra work with their own fitness people and their own, shooting practice. Is that, when you're paying these players all this money, we should have total and utter control over everything they do every single day. And I said this in the summer. I think it was Rashford was doing extra work with somebody. And I was like, that's all well and good. And everybody retweets it and goes, oh, look at Rashy, he's cooking. But what control do Man United have over what's going on there? You need to have total control over everything they're doing so that if anything goes wrong, you're in control. It's logical, absolutely logical. Something's going wrong at that football club. The volume of injuries that we get, we've either acquired the most injury-prone players ever, or something fundamentally is going wrong because there are just so many injuries all the time, all of the time. And I also would say Mason Mount needs to be mentioned here as well, because when we bought him, we've been unable to get him fit in nearly 2 years. We've failed to keep him fit for 2 years. Now, he might be broken, but he passed a medical. He passed a medical, and ever since we've brought Mason Mount here, we can't get him fit. So something's not right there either, is it? There's something going wrong at that football club, fundamentally, in the way that we train our players. And this is just devastating. Absolutely devastating. Our player of the year is out for the season. We're going to build a team now and just show in harsh reality how dangerous this is. Martinez out for the season. He's out for the season. Ahmad's out for the season. Mainu's going to be out for weeks. We don't have any depth. We don't have any depth in those areas as well. I've not trodden on a spike. Something just dropped into my head as well. We play 3-4-3, and Amorim likes a wide player that can do the defensive. The only wide player that we've got who can play the 3-4-3 is Ahmad, which now means we're going to keep using fucking fullbacks there and be even more defensive. Ahmad's the only guy who can play attackingly from the wing on the right-hand side. We've got nobody who can do that. And we're short behind the striker anyway. I mean, we've basically got Garnacho, Bruno, but he probably can't play there at the moment because we haven't got any midfielders, and Xerxes. We've got 3 players that can play 2 positions at the moment. And one of them's going to have to play in the midfield. So basically, it's Garnacho, Xerxes, and Rasmus, and then probably Obi Martin as an option as well. Eriksen, look, Eriksen's going in the summer and he's slow. I mean, I can find stopgaps. We can all find stopgaps, but we're trying to find solutions that really, really matter. David says, don't forget they tried to sell Garnacho. Mate, I know some people out there are going to go, oh, it's just bad luck. It's just bad luck. And I know people out there go, it's going to take time. It's going to take time. Football waits for nobody. It waits for nobody. Like this whole, we don't want to spend in January because we want to wait till the summer. This is why people were moaning. This is exactly why people were moaning. In January, when we were talking about bringing players in, it wasn't just because we wanted to win the Europa League. It was because we've all experienced what happens after. I said this. I literally said this. I don't know whether I said it on the United stand or I said it on That's Football. I said, you know what? It comes in threes, and the three clubs that fucked up the January transfer window are paying for it big time. Arsenal didn't get a striker. Havertz out for the season. Martinelli's out for weeks. Chelsea didn't get a striker. Jackson's out for months. Man United didn't bring players in. Ahmad's out for the season. Martinez is out for the season. And Mainoo's out for weeks. It ain't coincident. It's not coincidental. It's not coincidental. These things aren't bad luck. Look at what other clubs have done. Look at Man City, they brought 3 or 4 players in. Look at Villa, they brought 4 or 5 players in. Look at Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United. We didn't bring players in, and we're all sat there with a thumb up our arse trying to say we're unlucky. You're not unlucky. This is what happens, and it's only the middle of February. The transfer window only closed 2 weeks ago. Not even 2 weeks ago, and you ignored it for money. You went, oh, computer says no. Oh, you know, sustainability. Football's about risk. You've literally said fuck off to £80 million. I can't make this point enough. This is shit ownership, and everybody knew it. You can get £80 million by winning the Europa League and getting into the Champions League. Therefore, it's worth finding a way to spend 10, 20 million pounds on an attacker just to help yourself out. Man United went, no. So we're going to lose the 80 million pounds, send the club into oblivion, all because you couldn't find a bit of money. I mean, look at the Tell deal. You've got people telling me a week ago, oh, you know, all these prats, the arse of the Ineos aggregators who talk shit all the time because they're on the bloody payroll, and they're going, good move by United not getting Tell. Why should we pay 8 million for a loan deal? We're cooking. Oh yeah, good. Yeah, no more messing around. I'm with Ineos on this. We shouldn't be paying 8 million for Tell. Well, I tell you what, looks like a bloody great deal now, doesn't it? And as I said, we got about 7 million out of Sancho Dortmund. So why people suddenly thought 8 million for Tell was ridiculous. We got about 7 million out of Dortmund for Sancho. I'd pay 15 million for Tell now. I'd tell you what, I would. I'd tell you what, I'd pay 8 million for Terry from the Football Terrace. We need somebody, but this is the thing, people go, oh no, good one Ineos, we're not here to get bent over. We're not here to get mugged off. We're literally in a position where somebody is better than nobody, because now we have got nobody. And we would have been better off having somebody, and they didn't want to do it because it always comes back to money. The clubs who take a risk in January tend to get the rewards in May. Like Man City spent money because they want to get back in the Champions League, and they will do it. Villa are spending money because they want to get back in the Champions League. Maybe they will do it, maybe they won't do it, but they certainly have got the options up front to go and score goals. I don't know how. I mean, look, let's construct this here, right now. So let's say Onana in goal. You've got to be putting Delo there now. Dorgu on the left. I mean, De Ligt, I would imagine. God, we can't afford any more. The thing is, as well, with all these injuries, it's not like they're coming back either. We've had all these injuries in the middle of February. We've still got 3 months more where we can get more injuries. Let's say Mazraoui there, but we have got Yoro. So at the moment we've got Yoro, we've got Lindelof. We've got Yoro, Lindelof and Evans. We've got a little bit of cover at the back. Into the midfield at the moment, well, you can't play Collier and you can't play Mainoo and you can't play Agate because we don't know what the situation is with them. So someone find me Casemiro. What do you mean he's tweeting? He's playing. Casemiro there. Let's move him along. Oh, this is just so depressing. Casemiro, you can go there. Eriksen or Bruno, I'd say pull Bruno back there. All the names that aren't here: Mount, Anthony. You can't. Oh yeah. By the way, we can't bring Garnacho. Mark is the leak. Why am I the leak? What have I leaked out? I've not leaked anything. You can't play Mount. You can't play Anthony. And also, people are saying recall Anthony, recall Rashford. We're never recalling Anthony and Rashford, as far as I'm aware, because there is always a clause for Villa and Betis that if we recall them, we have to pay them. We're sacking people and we're trying to save 40 grand from a charity. There's no way we're paying to bring them back. So yeah, I mean, Garnacho, Xerxes, you're going to have to play here, mate. And Rasmus. There isn't actually a senior player I'm missing out apart from Eriksen. That's terrifying. Like, there are options at centre-back, but full-backs, midfield, and the front three, there is only Eriksen not there. There is nobody else apart from kids. So Obi Martin, Morehouse, Scanlon, that's all we've got. That is, and that's not just for tomorrow, that's for the rest of the season. We have only got Eriksen on the bench that is a senior player in the attacking midfield positions. Obviously, Agate and Collier, we don't know how long they're out for. But in the front three, that's it. That is it. Apart from youngsters and finding a way to get Bruno back there. We've got no bench anymore. The bench is done. So that's it. That's it. Defence, we've got options, Caleb. We've got Heaven, like you say. We've got Evans, we've got Lindelof, we've got Yoro. But in the front three and the wide positions, we're in trouble. You've got Dorgu, Dalot, Mazraoui can go there, of course. In the 10s, you've got Garnacho, Xerxes, and Bruno could move back there when Agate or Collier are back. Yeah, we're really slim. Some people are saying sign Paul Pogba. I'd rather play a youth player, mate. I really would. I'd rather play a youth player. I don't think that's a good idea to go back and do that. I really don't. Mark, do you know if Binder can play as a wing-back, says Mrs. Stone? Worst season ever, says Sai. At least if anyone other than Liverpool was winning the league, I could stomach this. Something has to change. Sean C says, just speaks to how clueless the owners are when they ignore the January transfer window when stuff like this always is possible. I think, mate, you know what? I don't think they're running a football club. I think they're looking at Man United and going, as long as we don't get relegated, let's strip back everything we can till it's a core, and then that core will be so low, but it will have some profit, and we'll just build from that. They're clearly just asset stripping the football club down to its lowest point, and then trying to rebuild it again. And years and years and years is probably right. Disgusting. Mazraoui in the midfield says, who to blame? Where do we look now? The academy, it's not fair to put so much pressure on them, says Jens. If we got Mattis Tell, we would have been fine as well, says Jens. Yeah, we didn't want to spend the money. Didn't anyone think when we had our worst injury-ridden season last season, not think losing numbers, not replace, and expect same output is ridiculous, says Cyber Spider. Probably get to see Kone in some capacity, says Harvey. At least now we don't have to worry about Ahmad on the right wing versus Ahmad as a 10, says Toby. Time to call upon the youngsters. Chido, Kone, Ineos, Glazers, just leave, please, says Mrs. Stone. Ronnie's Gaming, thank you very much for being a member. Ineos neglecting to buy Edison and Douglas Luiz, looking really bad now, says Alvaro. Blame it on poor gym and recovery facilities, says TV. They're cutting the scouts now as well. Get out, Ineos, says Edward. Boycott Man United, says Melps. If we play Eriksen and Casemiro in the midfield, Tottenham are going to tear us apart, says Ethan. Uninvert the wingers, Garnacho on the right, Dorgo on the left. Back three is fine. Casemiro, Bruno, centre mid, Eriksen, Xerxes 10, Rasmus 9. Mate, Keel, I know you say a lot, but that absolutely terrifies me what you've just done there. So you'd play Casemiro and Bruno who are slow, and then you'd play Eriksen who's slow. Mate, that's not going to work. You can't play Bruno, Eriksen and Casemiro in the same fucking four. We'll get absolutely battered by anybody that can run. This really feels like rock bottom now, but at the same time, there may be a false floor and further to fall. Can't remember the last time it was fun to support United. Says Smoggy. Why 90% of our injuries in training, not games, says Matthew. And once again, the player our fan base criticises the most, Bruno, is the one we have to rely on, says Item. We're going to have to bring in academy players, says Kenzo. Goodbye Europa and FA Cup, just end the season now, says Big Mel. That's my biggest concern. I'm not shocked by injuries. The club probably are. I'm not shocked. It's not bad luck. It's been going on for too long. This is not bad luck. This is bad fitness department. This is bad planning. This is, a multiple of things. It's ignoring the January transfer window. It's all of those things. But our only rescue point was European football. I don't see how we get European football now. And if we don't get it, then we'll be selling a Garnacho or a Mainu in the summer. And then we fall even further behind. I don't know why they couldn't find a way to just do something more in the transfer market to give us a little bit more depth. Yeah. I believe we still haven't hit bottom of the barrel, says Cads. This is the Anthony cult, Mr. Mark. You give the GOAT bad treatments. Okay, shut up. I would be very surprised if United finished 10th, maybe 11th at best. Mohamed, we're not even in 10th. You think we're climbing the league? We knew how bad Nice was. Did anyone actually think Ineos had a clue? No change to the fitness department after loads of injuries. It's complete idiocy. So this is the result of Amrin having time to train, says Morim. With these injuries, should we be concerned about relegation, says Ash. I'm not watching for my mental health, says Darcy. Mark, you did mention a couple of days ago, I hope we don't get screwed with injuries. With other clubs going through the crisis, also, Mark, is our Europa chance over, says Polo. Mate, I look at that. Do you think that team's good enough to win the Europa League? Because that's it. And also, that team can't play every bloody minute. You've got to have a bench. Nobody plays the same 11 for 90 minutes. So even if you're winning in the Europa League quarter-final, you've got to start taking people off with 20 minutes to go. Who comes on for Garnacho? Who comes on for Rasmus? Who comes on for Bruno? Nobody, obviously. But there's no depth there either. That's assuming we don't get any more injuries as well. That's our best team unless Mason Mount, Luke Shaw come back from injury and give us a couple of options. Obviously, you've got Ericsson as well and you've got a load of kids. But look, I agree with you. Obi Martin could come on up front, but it's a big, big, big ask to chuck young kids in and expect them to help us win a Europa League. It's bad. It's really bad. And the contradiction is, the reason I don't trust the Glazers and I don't trust Ineos is they try to speak to us like we're kids and go, we're doing this to raise money, right? But you're looking at it going, you're going to fuck the club. You can talk about saving money, but this squad is not going to win the Europa League or the FA Cup, and then you're going to lose money anyway. You'd be better off getting a couple of loan deals in just to give the squad a little bit of a boost, and we'd have a better chance of winning the Europa League or the FA Cup, which is absolutely essential. And your little cuts have actually fucked us up because you're going to lose a shitload of money. I mean, they won't be anticipating losing tens of millions of pounds in the summer, but they're about to do it. Is it worth recalling some of our loans, says Smilly? It would cost money to recall Rashford or Anthony as much as £1 million. It will cost money to bring them back, because if you think about the Rashford deal to Villa, he probably won't want to come back anyway, but also Villa are paying us for Rashford. So there's no way we can just go, we want him back, because Villa will go, well, we've paid him 2 weeks' wages for 2 weeks. There'll be some sort of contract in place that if we bring him back, we probably have to give them £1 million or something, which we're clearly not going to do. Rusted training equipment, says Keel. That means their physical can't meet the training, says John. Were they having UFC fights at training or something, says Papa Green. So yeah, if you're tuning in, Ahmad is out for the rest of the season. I mean, it was bad enough doing the video about Mainu being out for a few weeks and Agate and Collier being out. This Ahmad news just hit me like a bloody spade. I just can't believe it. I just absolutely cannot believe it. But I did speculate this morning that I felt the way Amarim was being about it, it was probably going to be, what did I say, the Litton Ahmad? or Agate, and I mentioned Mainu as well. I mean, I think I mentioned 3 of the 4 players injured as guess, because it just felt like he was devastated. And I will repeat what Manchester United's recruitment team are relaxed about the prospect of ending the transfer window without signing a striker. That is what Man United fed out to the Manchester Evening News and other outlets. Man United's recruitment team are relaxed about the prospect of entering the transfer window and ending the transfer window without bringing in an attacker. And remember, we had Anthony and Rashford leave this football club and replaced neither of them. Neither of them. We let 2 attackers go and replaced... I agree with letting them go, but not replacing them is just absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning to me. And I don't know where the news is coming from, by the way, but just in relation to something a little bit extra. Apparently, the next area of cuts for Manchester United is going to be the scouting department. I think it's been reported by The Guardian that Manchester United are looking to make further cuts and to save more money by making cuts to the scouting department, which, again, I mean, the one area that you would want Manchester United, but this is it, Jamie Jackson in The Guardian. Man United's department of around 80 scouts faces considerable cuts as part of Sir Jim Radcliffe's next round of redundancies. The likely reduction is part of streamlining of the department. I mean, so we're on our arse and we need good players, and what we're basically going to do is log on to Football Manager, put some filters in and start recruiting off there. That's basically the excuse. We're going to reduce our scouting department because we want to utilise data-driven assessment of players. We're basically going to buy Football Manager and start whacking filters in instead of actually scouting. And yeah, data-driven stuff is absolutely fantastic, but it's like stats. Nothing beats the eye test. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Capitalism FC, says Noah. Can Lindelof play centre midfield, says Keel? I think he has played there before. What you hide in your heart appears in your eyes, says A11. Get Glinios out now. This is why we wanted Qatar, says Nog. And Glinios running the club like we've already gone into administration, says Benners. Double up on Garnacho and you beat United, says Harvey. Well, I think this is a great point now. You look at that team. The only player I'm going to really shut down is Garnacho because he's the only player that can run at anybody. He's the only one with any flair. Xerxes technical in a different way, and we haven't really seen enough of it yet. But the only player that can run at anybody is Garnacho. So double up on him, United are fucked. And if he gets injured, forget about it. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. But I've got to say, no Man United fan should be sat there tonight going, oh, we're unlucky. Remember last season, anyone? Like, we have a problem with injuries. More than any other club, we have a problem with injuries. It's not... I can't escape how badly they fucked up the January transfer window. You bring a new manager in halfway through the season with a different system. You don't back him. And then also you remove 2 players and you don't replace them. And then you wander into the rest of the season and you go, I can't believe we've got injuries. I mean, it's almost deliberate. I mean, it's not deliberate, but it almost is deliberate. Bring a new manager in, don't back him, get rid of a few players, don't replace them, and then think you're going to get through to the end of the season without injuries. I mean, it's just... You sometimes feel like you're banging your head against the brick wall because most of Man United fans in the stadium, in the pubs, in the clubs, online, we're all saying the same thing. We are taking a huge risk not replacing Rashford and Anthony because we don't really have any attacking options. And if one of them gets injured, whether it be Xerxes, Rasmus, Ahmad or Garnacho, we're fucked. And here we are 2 weeks later, one of them's out for the season. And that doesn't mean another one isn't going to get injured next week and another one's not going to get injured the week after. Because what happens now is the workload on Garnacho and Xerxes and Rasmus goes through the roof, which increases the chances that they get injured. So, you know, it's this is another embarrassment for a new footballing regime that doesn't know its arse from its elbow. If this, Mark, will you recall Sancho and Rashford? Says Mac. Mate, I've got to keep saying this. We can't do that. We can't recover players from loans because we have to pay those clubs. I mean, we're not bringing bloody Sancho back anyway. Are you mad? Sancho? Come on. He wouldn't want to come back. I don't think Rashford would want to come back. And even if we wanted to bring Anthony back, you'd have to pay Betis to do it. So we can't bring them back because you have to pay to bring them back, and they've got to want to come back as well. I think all they're going to be able to do is play young players, and the scary thing about that is how many young players are going to get thrown in that Amrin wouldn't normally throw in but has to throw in, and that's never a good thing. We have got some exciting young players, but when you throw them in when they're not ready. Imagine they had sold Garnacho in January, says Broggy. If the worst happens and we do get relegated, will Glazers and Ineos go? We're not going to get relegated, Jack. I don't know whether you've looked at the Premier League table, but we are we're 10 points from safety. Like, I don't think Ipswich, Leicester are going to get 30 points and we're on 29. So, we're not going to not get more points between now and the end of the season. So, if you get to 35 points, you're safe, and we've got 29. So, we won't get relegated. Aidan, thank you very much. Evening, Mark. Would you say this is the end of our season, or can we still pull something out the bag? Says Delusional Unicorn. Mate, I wouldn't say the season is over, but what I would say is that we're on the road to the season being over. We've got so little leeway there on the left-hand side. Could we get Scholes out retirement, says Robert McCormack? That's the problem. We've got 14 Premier League games to go. We've got another FA Cup game. That's 15. And we've got 2 more Europa League games. That's 17. We don't want to get knocked out of the Europa League. So that would be hopefully another 4 or 5 games. That takes you over 20. You don't want to get knocked out of the FA Cup. So hopefully a few more there. We could have another 25 games to play. With that, they're not going to stay fit for 25 games. So my issue tonight is Ahmad's gone for the season. He's not coming back. Martinez is gone for the season. He's not coming back. Rashford and Anthony were not replaced, and they can't be replaced. Mainoo's out for God knows how long. Mount, you can't rely on. So we've got kids and that for 25 games if we want to win the Europa League or the FA Cup. I can't see it. I can't see that logically. We've all watched the game. We all know what it takes, and I just think it's impossible. I think it's and we're also trying to learn a new system. Apparently Man United got to travel by coach after trains were cancelled. Well, I don't think that's a bad problem, really. So what they're doing is shutting down the club. Audit Glinios, says Dreadnought. Next update, Sir Jim is going to be the new physio after sacking the current one, says Mrs. Stone. We have no choice but to rely on youth players now, which is sad, says Donny. Hey, look, we'll get behind the players that we've got left, but I don't think it's their fault. It's not them. It's not their fault, and it's not the young players' fault. There has to be a level of understanding. They've been left exposed. Young players are going to get thrown in because of how badly the club has been run, whether that's the fitness department or the owners. But the thing is, like, there are so many other strands. There are so many speculative things you could say. We could have done this. We could have done that. We might have done this. We might have done that. But we literally could have got Tell, and we didn't do it. And that one player would have made a hell of a difference to what we've got now. Just one player would have made a hell of a difference. One more attacking player that can play in the front three would have made a massive difference for us. And we decided not to do it, and we were relaxed about not doing it. And you can defend them all you like, but I don't think there's a Man United fan out there that didn't anticipate this or wasn't scared of this. I mean, it's happened to Arsenal. They've had a couple of injuries. It's happened to Chelsea. I think we all knew this was going to happen, but for some reason, the owners of our football club who are running it were relaxed that this wouldn't happen. They were relaxed that they didn't do any business in the January transfer window in the attack. They put that out there. They put that out there to their client journalists. They put it out there to the fans. We're relaxed that we didn't do anything in the attacking transfer area. And all of us, I think, were going, well, you're bloody idiots then. And they've been proved to be idiots. And they're the people making decisions for our football club. I think at the moment we are run by people who do not know what they're doing and are actually making United worse. And in so many ways. But this was preventable. The Ahmad injury might be bad luck, might not be bad luck, who knows. But to not have cover is on them. It is on them. I guarantee media's like Prathurst are going to blame the manager, which will be an excuse to try and push the manager out. Yeah, Nigel, well, fair play for you for pulling that one out because they tried it with Ten Hag as well. Players need to be trained. Players need to increase intensity. Players need to work hard to learn new systems. But you can't have that many people breaking down in 1 week of training. That's just not usual. It's not normal. It's just not. We've all played the game. Like, if you go to training on a Wednesday night and your manager says we're going to do a lot more running because I want to get your fitness up, you don't expect 4 people to get injured. You might moan that you're doing more running and that it increases the chance of injury, but our players factually cannot deal with intense training sessions. This happened under Ten Hag and now it's happening under Amorim. What is the connection between Amorim and Ten Hag? They both want to play high-intensity football like Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle, Liverpool, Brighton and everybody else. Every manager that comes in and tries to get this team playing modern football ends up with an injury record an episode of Casualty would be happy with. It's fundamentally a problem. What was Sir David Brailsford's strategic review about? Was it just about sacking people? I thought he was a fucking fitness expert. Why has he not rejuvenated the fitness department? We can't train players without them getting injured. That was the area to make a bloody big difference. If we'd looked at sacking people in the fitness department and replacing them with people who know what they're doing, we might not have all these injuries. But they haven't done that, have they? The strategic review was nothing to do with the fitness department. It was to do with actually sacking anybody you bloody can. Just Amor says, what do you do if you get more injuries? Well, we're in trouble. Broy says, shouldn't we write the season off as fans and focus on protesting and Glazers out? We can't get much lower. Look, I think we do need to focus on changing the ownerships because I think that this club is going to sink even further than here. What I would say about writing the season off is that, as many of you have said, things can get worse. And if they do get worse, imagine next season with no European football. All right, you might be bored midweek, but imagine next season without European football. We will have a massive hole financially in the football club. I don't think we can survive that. So you've got Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, whoever, all in Europe. And they're all stronger than us already. They've got that extra money to spend. Man United are like, Ruben, we've got no money because we're not in Europe. We've got a massive hole. We've got to pay the debt interest. We need you to sell Garnacho if you want to buy players. And Amorim's like, this squad's not good enough. And you're selling a player that I think is good enough. So I can bring a couple of players in that might be good enough to compete with squads that are better than us and spending more money. Now, explain that one to me because I don't know how that works out well. But that's what we're staring at. No European football. Massive hole in the budget, still got to play the debt, still need to bring players in, no money to bring players in. So sell the player that you think is part of the future to maybe bring players in that might be. It doesn't add up. It's not going to add up. I think it could be worse next season. And how do you get back into Europe next season? There is no Europa League. You've got to finish in the top 5. We're not finishing in the top 5. To get back into Europe in the Conference League, you've got to finish 7th. I just think we're in big shit. Which is why I said 3 weeks ago, there is no Europa League next year if you're not in Europe. The Europa League gets you into the Champions League. We should have took a risk. We should have found every little bit of money we had and gone and do what Villa's done. Try and get 3 or 4 players in, boost the squad, score some goals, win the Europa League, get back in the Champions League, spend more money. And what we did is go handbrake on, let's not spend any money, and we fucked it. And we can't do anything about it now. I might be wrong, but I would have found money to get Tell in and maybe another player in to replace Rashford and Antony so that we could deal with the injuries we've got now and hopefully get to the Europa League final and win it. And the gamble would have paid off. We didn't even try the gamble. We didn't even try it. And there won't be an opportunity to be in the Champions League next year because we won't be in the Europa League anyway. This could set us back years. If we don't get European football, we could be set back years and years and years. And it's all because these owners don't know what they're bloody doing. They didn't see this. They didn't replace Rashford and Antony, and then you lose Ahmad and you're fucked. And they didn't see it. What will Gary Neville say about Ineos? He's already said it, mate. They need 3 or 4 years. Apparently it's fine to write 4 years off, according to Gary. Ineos, more like Altios, says Mr. Arnold. Here we go. Man United signed Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes and Roy Keane for the rest of the season, says Carlo. Maybe Brailsford went to Sir Jim and Sir Jim told him to sack them and not get a replacement. We should be getting angry Ginge. We don't need a centre-back, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's Salmon. Everything has a formula for success. We might never win a Premier League under these owners, says Louis. If injuries come, what do we do? Says just look. I blame the owners on this. There'll be people saying, "Oh, I can't believe Goldbridge is doing that." I blame the owners on this because it's not a shock that a player's been injured, and it's having depth to replace that. And as we said in January, we needed to bring some attackers in. We actually got rid of 2 and didn't replace either of them. Who did that? Who made that choice? The board. The board did that. Probably we've made a lot of bad decisions at this football club. When you think about 80 million on Maguire, Alexis Sanchez, we've made some Antony, 80 million. We've made some horrific recruitment decisions in this football club's recent history. But I think letting Antony and Rashford go and not replacing them and leaving the attack so thin and then getting a season-ending injury, that's not on bad luck. There is a sequence of events that led to this, and the board did it. And nobody should escape that. Whatever you think about protests, whatever you think about sackings, whatever you think about stadia, there is a sequence of events that have led to this, and it's got nothing to do with bad luck. Man United player gets injured. Well, that's not a surprise. We've been getting injuries for fucking ages. Man United let Antony and Rashford go and don't replace them. Then a player gets injured. Was this a surprise? No. We've put ourselves in this position, and it's because of the owners again. And you can defend them all you like, but they've put us in this situation. I'd love to see some of these people that always twist it to defend Ineos and the Glazers. I'd love to see how they're going to twist this one. Oh, we were right not to pay 8 million for Tell. Well, we were wrong. We were fucking wrong. We were definitely fucking wrong. It's not your money. We're in debt. We're paying debt interest payments. I don't know why people suddenly become accountants and go, yeah, we're right not to spend the money. We're in the game of winning football matches. We're in the game of trying to be successful. And people are justifying cuts and financial decisions. And on the pitch, we're suffering. We're suffering. Pogba doesn't play behind the attacker, and Pogba doesn't play up front either. So I don't know why Pogba solves the problem for Manchester United either. The players will be given background staff, kitman and physio jobs to save the cash at this rate, says Scott. You missed my point. I'm saying that we still haven't hit rock bottom in every worse. Well, I agree with you, Jack. I've said this myself. I don't think we have hit rock bottom. I think if we're not in Europe in the summer, things are about to get a lot worse. And I think next season could be as bad as this one. In fact, I think next season could be worse than this season because we won't have Europe as a potential saviour. I think next season we won't even have Europe. So I think next season could be worse, in which case we're in a worse position. Imagine if Saudi came forward with an offer publicly, says John. And Killen says, with our injury list, we should give the youngsters experience in the league, resting the current main players for Europa. It's desperate, Killen, but you might be right. Mark, remember when Mourinho threw the league for the Europa win? It was so underrated but required. We survived this long because of that win, says Pritt. Mate, it's horrible to say it, but 2 of you have said it. Once we're not going to get relegated, why not throw the fucking league? You're not throwing anything anyway. If you can't get relegated, write it off. We are getting that close to it now. Like the Europa League and the FA Cup could save this football club if we win either of them. The league can't do anything for us. It literally can't do anything. Would you risk players in the league now to get injured when the Europa League is what matters? I think it's a very intelligent point, but we shouldn't have to do this. We're only having to think like that because our owners have put us in that position. The club is gone. Stop attending games. Stop buying official merch, says Tom. Buy United Stand merch instead. Amarim should quit. He has no choice, says Matthew. Anyway, look, I'm not doing an 8 o'clock show. I'm absolutely floored by this. And I think I'm going down the pub. I was meant to be down there 20 minutes ago. If I came back at 8 o'clock, I think I'd start saying stuff I really am going to regret. I'm absolutely fuming. I'm not joking. I think the state of the football club is, as we've discussed already before this news last night, the club is in a fucking mess. And here we are. We were talking last night, last week, this morning about how badly the club is being run. And we didn't even know this then. This is completely on how the club's being run. They've put us in this situation again. I'm just going to try and check out till tomorrow because I think tomorrow could be another difficult day. Another difficult day. But look, I'll read the comments. We'll see how late it goes. Aki says, do you think loaning out Anthony was unwise? Look, Anthony needed to go and play football. Rashford needed to go and play football. I'm not going to moan about loaning out Rashford and Anthony. They needed to go and Amarim wanted them to go. It's not a mistake to let those players go. Like, they are doing quite well. They are playing football and they're trying to build a future. I haven't got a problem with them being loaned out. Not replacing them was the mistake. That's on the owners. Loaning them out's not a mistake. Anthony wasn't happy, he wasn't doing well, and Amarim didn't want him. Rashford wasn't happy, he wasn't doing well, and Amarim didn't want him. So loaning them out was exactly the right thing. I don't want to hear people saying we shouldn't have loaned them out. We should have loaned them out, but we had to replace them. And Ineos went, we're fine. And that was the thing. We can't look at loaning them out as a mistake because it wasn't. It was the right thing for the player. It was the right thing for Amarim. It was the right thing for the club. But you had to replace them. To not replace two is even worse. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. And let's see what tomorrow brings. You know what? This season's worse than last season, but I feel like last season. Remember this time last season, another injury. Thing is, though, last season ended up being okay, but I don't know. Can we do that again? I felt like the FA Cup win last year was the great escape. You look at Coventry in the penalty shootout. Think about it. Think about rolling a dice is you can throw a 6 once. If you throw it again, I don't know whether we can do it again, but we need to. We need to. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Take care. Stay safe. At least we have the community, and at least we have somewhere where we can speak openly and help each other, because a lot of people aren't having these conversations. I'll speak to you all later.